Deputy President William Ruto has signed the Kenya Kwanza Education Charter, which aims at bringing reforms into the country's education system at the Catholic University of East Africa. He said he supports the move from the old system of exams-based education to competency-based education, adding that university degree certificate controversies in the country can only be fixed by his bottom-up economic model.
We all agree that our education should move in the direction of not just knowledge and exams. It should move in the direction of knowledge, skills, competencies, and value-based education. We all agree that that is the direction. We also agree that 5 years down the road, it's time to review, in accordance with UNESCO recommendations, the CBC program, so that the issues that have been identified by teachers, by parents, by students, and other stakeholders can be subjected to a robust public conversation, so that we can finally have a conversation that will lead us to ironing out the areas that are in contestation, and we can have an education system that serves our children and our requirements for the future.
Dr. Ruto also used this chance to yet again poke holes into the academic credentials of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate Raila Odinga, without mentioning his name, saying that reforms in education will get rid of people who claim to have gone to certain schools, yet they cannot even name one of their classmates or lecturers.
We have come here finally to have this final conversation, and as Kenya Kwanza, we will be happy to sign a charter with the education sector on agreed parameters on what needs to be done on teachers' shortage, what needs to be done on capitation, what needs to be done on higher education loans board provision, and on all the other areas that we want to engage in as a way of arriving at education being the driver for our economic model, and making sure that bottom-up is enabled by the kind of education that we have. Accessible, affordable, relevant, and the right quality of education. That's really at the bottom of what we need to discuss, so that we don't get half-baked people at the end of our education chain. We get people with the correct quality education.
Cognizant of the bottom-up economic approach and the Kenya Kwanza bottom-up philosophy, it wouldn't be fair if the staff members who are at the bottom were also brought up as in other universities. We request that we have harmonization of our medical cover in the universities. We have harmonization of our workload in the universities. And we also request that in these universities, we have harmonization of our basic pay and our responsibility allowances.
We must, Your Excellency, bring sanity and eventually harmony between the Teacher Service Commission and the teaching fraternity. Because the Commission has abandoned its role as a good employer and behaves like a bad policeman to its own employees. And all this runs through when you have the man with chains as the head of the trade unions in the country and behaves the way he behaves, then you can understand how others get treated badly and nobody can speak for them. So Sion here has been hounded out of office through the same machinations. As we continue this conversation, I'll be open-eared to keep listening to what you as practitioners in the sector would want to engineer and re-engineer the CBC program to get broad-based acceptability from both parents, teachers, and everybody else so that we move together.
What is the level of the drug abuse crisis? And two, what measures have educational institutions been putting in place to deal with the drug menace? And three, we have seen in the political arena, there are some people who are now masquerading on the basis that they will allow a certain form of drug to become commercialized. This is a very serious matter, I believe. But as a practitioner,
yes.
What would you want to say about this, and what are the dangers that we are looking at?
Thank you very much. First of all, as I said, we have boards of management that need to be empowered to perform their mandate. One of their mandate is ensuring a disciplined institution. Today, our biggest challenge in schools, and especially secondary schools, is the issue of drug and drug abuse. And the biggest drug that is abused is cannabis, bangi. The challenge is we are not able sometimes to prove, because sometimes when you catch them even smoking and they throw it maybe in a pit latrine, you have no evidence. And the law will always ask for evidence. And that is why, as Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, we started a debate that we want random drug testing in schools. I know people don't like it, but we will need to take that bold step. Because if we can subject our sportsmen and women to random drug testing, when they are off events or within season, they are tested. And if they are found culpable, they are maybe banned for 4 years, isn't it, or more. Why are we finding it very difficult to look at our laws and change and make it mandatory? Because that is the only evidence we can have to sanction a child. But the issue of drugs is real. But we have no laws that are helping educational institutions to fight the menace. A bone of contention that we have today, which I want to present to you to think about it, is the issues of the continuous training through the TPD program. That is now being said that the teachers will have to finance for themselves. That is a bone of contention. I would like to recommend that as we prepare and continuously train them, let this continuous training be borne by the government. So that when the government feels that I need to be retooled, they need to pay and ensure that I'm ready to continue working. A well-resourced, a well-tooled teacher, and finally a well-paid teacher will deliver the curriculum to the level that the government would like to look at it. Our proposal, sir, is that immediately you take over, can you look at allow the stakeholders to further discuss on the CBA? Because the CBA that has been there, the teachers out there call it the maternity CBA. Yes, it is true, when our partners deliver, we also must be available to support them, to ensure that they are strong enough, then we continue with work. But in addition to that, the teacher will always want to see how much has been increased on my pay. So I want to request that immediately, propose that immediately you take over government, let Teacher Service Commission, our unions, take over and discuss the CBA afresh. And I think this cuts across the entire sector of education. As we move these children to junior secondary, and I happen to have been a member of the task force, one of the recommendations we were saying that junior secondary should be primarily day school. But now, with the crave which the Kenyans have for boarding schools, it means that we may not achieve that unless we invest more in our day schools. So for us to achieve it, our recommendations, let us invest more in our day schools.
The Deputy President has recently directed his attack on Mr. Odinga, challenging him to make public his degree certificate and the university that he attended. On the planned education reforms, Dr. Ruto said his team will have an elaborate discussion on access, relevance and affordability of education in order to build a human capital that will play a key role in building the nation. He said his engagement with various stakeholders will enable them to have a manifesto that is driven by interest of all Kenyans.
As Kenya Kwanza, we want to have a robust conversation with the public, with all the stakeholders, so that we can have an education system that where everybody is comfortable, and it leads us to quality, it leads us to relevance, it's also affordable, and it's of good quality. That's really where we want to go. I cannot claim to be a professional. I know there are so many other professionals who can speak to this, but I can also confirm that I have gone to school. So I have an idea of what it should be. So, and I want to thank my teachers who are here and all the other. I also have people I went with to school, and many other people. I know there is now huge controversy about degrees and this kind of thing, and I think sorting out our education the way we are doing it will actually remove some of the gray areas that have occasioned the kind of challenges we have today of us not knowing who was in school, who was not. And it will also help us to eliminate cases of people saying they went to school, they have no known classmates, they have no known lecturers, and nobody knows what courses they did. So I think it will help us sort out the whole of that mess.
He was accompanied by Kenya Kwanza leaders including Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi.